The Sharia means path or the way. Muslims deem Sharia law as a body of moral and religious law. Every aspect of the Sharia derives from the Quran, the Hadith and the Seerah. The Sharia is not just a legal system as some people may presume, but an entire culture and a way of life. It would be foolish and evidently dishonest to suggest that all UK self-proclaimed Muslims follow the Sharia, although it would be equally foolish to ignore the fact that the UK is host to over 85 Sharia courts. The government is currently living in denial about these courts and how they operate. The only public claim that we've had is that Sharia is a benefit to the British people, said by Theresa May, and that the Sharia does not operate above UK law, which is a very asinine statement to make due to their existence in the first place. To a non-Muslim, these courts may not operate above UK law, but I'm sure that is not the general thinking of the thousands of Muslims that use them. Over time, the public has continuously pushed for reviews of UK Sharia courts. These courts and their clerics are continuously being exposed of immoral teachings and practices. Strangely enough, the same practices embedded in Islamic scripture. Yet not much has been done. There has been no honest reviews. And the reviews that are done, how biased are these reviews? There's paperwork hidden, rescheduled cases. Reviews are easily manipulated. But the only way we can get an honest review of the Sharia practices is to examine the Sharia itself. Representatives of 10 leading Islamic centres met in Birmingham's Jamia Mosque and decided to establish the first Islamic Sharia Council in 1982. This was the first Sharia Council in the whole of Europe. According to BBC News, thousands of Muslims have turned out to use these Sharia courts. The Islamic Sharia Council, ISC, states it has dealt with between 200 and 300 cases a month since January 2012. There has also been established a rival Sharia court called the Muslim Arbitration Tribunal, set up in 2007. It claims to be less strict than the Dabandis. In March of 2014, The Telegraph produced an article exposing how Sharia is slowly being integrated into UK law. It states that Islamic law is to be effectively enshrined into the British legal system for the first time under guidelines for solicitors on drawing up Sharia compliant wills. Under groundbreaking guidance produced by the Law Society, High Street solicitors will be able to write Islamic wills that deny women an equal share in inheritance and exclude non-Muslims altogether. The documents, which will be recognised by British courts, will also prevent children born out of wedlock, and even those who have been adopted, from being counted as legitimate heirs. Anyone married in a church or a civil ceremony could be excluded from succession under Sharia principles, which recognise only Muslim weddings for inheritance purposes. Nicholas Flack, president of the Law Society, said that the guidance would promote good practice in applying Islamic principles in the British legal system. Muslims have been allowed to bank differently. In 2014, the UK Treasury sold £200 million worth of Islamic government bonds in a bid to make Britain a global hub for Islamic finance, with it being the first country outside the Islamic world to issue bonds. Islamic banks ban the taking and receiving of interest. Islamic bonds are structured so that investors get a fixed return. So while non-Muslims in the UK have to pay a predetermined rate of interest on a loan, the Muslim community has access to interest-free loans. Does this sound fair to you? London has the largest legal service market in Europe, and over 25 firms in the capital are supplying legal services for Islamic finance in the global and domestic market. Over the years, UK Sharia courts have been given more legal rights and have been allowed to openly practice misogyny without any opposition. The start of Sharia councils was not placed in front of the government to decide, nor voted on by the people. They were merely set up by a group of Muslims and their interpretation of the Sharia, and has been allowed to flourish and run as a dual legal system. The Sharia being practiced in the UK is in a direct violation of Western morals and etiquette,